What's going on, guys? AFK Tech here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Ubiquiti Unifi uap-ac-pro. Damn, that's a mouthful. So before we get it kicked off today, I just wanted to bring a little attention to everybody. I want to welcome all the new subscribers here. If this is the first video you're watching as a subscriber, thanks for subscribing. I also want to point out, everybody try to go check out my website. I'm thinking about adding a forums or something. Just a little bit of feedback with that would be great. So anyway, here we go. Let's get started on the actual unboxing. So this is an AP from Ubiquiti, as mentioned in the title. And so this is just an access point. Let's clarify that right here, right now. This is not something you're going to just plug into your internet, your Comcast internet, and expect to get Wi-Fi from after you set a password on it. No, this is an access point that needs a router in order to function. So this is something that gives wireless access to your currently existing network infrastructure. So in my case, my router right now is a pfSense box, but let's go ahead and get into the unboxing. So on the front, pretty straightforward. So this is a 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. That's pretty standard nowadays. 1750 megabits per second dual radio. Take a look at the back of the box real quick. So on the back, Ubiquiti is kind of just talking about their Unifi web UI. So one of the big things with Ubiquiti is they're very ecosystem oriented. So if you have their access points, their routers, and their switches, you can see all the statistics and data on a nice one clean interface and do all the configuration from there. Let's go over a couple of the little features they have mentioned on the back here. So indoor outdoor installation. So it's not totally, IP65 or whatever the rating for outside or being waterproof, but it's something that you can put outside and make sure, underneath a gutter or something. That way it's not getting super direct contact, but that's nice. It's cool to see. I'll show you why, a little thing they added on with that to help facilitate that outdoor installation. So it's 3x3 MIMO. If you guys don't know anything about MIMO, Google it. I'm not going to really explain it. 5 gigahertz up to 1300 megabytes a second. Megabits. So that's on the AC channel. 2.4 up to 450. 400 feet range. So one of the big things Ubiquiti has always been kind of hit on is they have a proprietary PoE that they use, but now they're actually adopted the 802.3 AF, so now you can use it with any switch that you have that supports PoE out. So it's got 2 gigabit ports, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. USB port for optional Unifi accessories, and then it goes over the package contents, which is the access point itself, Pov Injector, instruction manual, and some mounting kits. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy opened up. So right off the bat, you see a little product brochure. It's advertised some of their other products. Toss that off to the side, don't need it. Nice little packing, and here's the access point itself. So as you can see, you got the Ubiquiti logo, and it's this nice circular white clean access point. Very unobtrusive, especially you have it up on the ceiling, which is super nice. So you got a plastic mounting kit, so this allows you to actually just stick this plastic mounting kit to the wall, screw it in, and then this will latch in via a rotating method. Just a quick thing to note, I do have their ACLR, and once you do latch this onto this wall mount, it is very hard to get off. There is a way to do it, sliding through these little slots here to actually release this trigger mechanism, but it's definitely not easy. We're not going to be wall mounting this one since we're in my apartment though, so we're not going to worry about that. Another quick little feature, so this is for ceiling tiles. Whoops. So this is for ceiling tiles, so you put this above the ceiling tile to back it up, and then put some screws through it to actually bolt this to the ceiling tile. Toss that off the side, don't need that either. So we got a quick start guide, pretty straightforward. We'll go through this here in a little bit when we do a setup. Got the PoE injector. So you got LAN and PoE. So LAN, this is where your internet, your network's coming in, and then PoE is the actual output that goes to the access point itself. So that's got a power cord as well. See, this is the thing with these. This is super nice if you don't have a PoE switch, but if you do and you want to have a nice clean setup, and before they weren't supporting those, these were a pain if you had 10 access points and you had 10 of these things laying around. And it kind of was another issue with them wanting to get into their ecosystem, because a lot of their switches did support their 48 volt paths of the PoE that they were supporting on most of their access points. So you got a little bit of mounting hardware, pretty straightforward. Not going to be using that today. So let's go ahead and get back to the access point real quick. So this was the quick little feature that I was talking about regarding the weatherproof. So this is like a rubber insert for the area where the LAN connections come in. So that helps protect it a little bit more. So you got two holes here for each gigabit port. So we'll go to the 2 gigabit ports now. So as you heard, it's 1750 megabits per second. So that is going to saturate over 1 gigabit connection. So you in fact need 2 LAN connections here if you want to be able to use the full performance of this router. That's a really interesting thing. We're getting to the point where the wireless speeds here aren't able to be supported by a single gigabit connection. Does that mean 10 gigabits coming into play? We will see here in the future. But that's pretty much all there is for this. So I'm going to undock you guys here and show you exactly where this is going to be going and what the reasoning is for behind me for getting this. So I'm at my apartment right now and we have really crappy Wi-Fi. There's a ton of networks around, so there's a lot of interference going on and all that fun stuff. So this is our quote-unquote server closet. So we got a patch panel that goes to all the different rooms here, the 2 rooms, and the living room. A switch that handles all those connections. I got the TS140 that I talked about in an earlier video. I'll link that down in the description. And then an old PS Sense box. So the R210 that you guys saw, that I did a review on, or quick little overview on a couple of weeks ago, that has now been repurposed with a VM to handle my PF Sense for my main network at home. So this is our current access point. It is actually in an access point mode. So it has the WRT Merlin, the ASUS software on here. It's kind of similar to DDWRT, but a little bit different. And so that's handling everything. But I've had it for a while, and it gets hot a lot. These antennas are pretty much broke, as you can see. We'll just yank that off. It's broken. So it really hasn't been working. I mean, we've been getting 10 megabits download through it, which is absolutely horrendous with a ton of interference. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this today, and we're going to go ahead and set the Ubiquiti up. So I'm going to go ahead and go through exactly what we need to do to get that going. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get rid of this old shoddy access point. I don't know, I'll maybe be able to find some sort of use for it, but these antennas being broken may be something I need to replace. Anyway, toss that off to the side. So we're going to go ahead and first hook up the PoE adapter itself. So get that out of the packaging here. And we're just going to do a quick little setup. The PoE adapter is not going to sit out here with the access point, but for installation's sake and explaining to you guys how this is going to work, we're going to go ahead and leave it there for now. So now you have the wire here. Go ahead and plug it into the PoE box and let this get booted up. Not much to it. So you can see the LED kicked on here, maybe, maybe not. It's probably pretty tough for you guys to see from that angle. So this is our internet in right now, this gray cable here. So we're going to plug that into the LAN port on the PoE injector. And then we're going to take the PoE out, plug that into this red Ethernet cable that I have, and go ahead and plug that into the main connection here on the AP itself. So there's a main and secondary. We're going to plug it into the main. All right. So another quick little feature is this little tab comes out. That allows you to lay this actually flat against the wall, or if you have it something like this set up, it can actually lay flat. You don't want to lose that though. So now that we have it plugged in, we're going to let it boot up. So all of the activity is shown by this ring right here. So this flashes different colors based on what is going on with the access point. So now you can see that it just flashed blue. So it's initially doing its initial boot up here. Now we're going to go through exactly what has to happen next. So this is one of the biggest gripes I have with Ubiquiti. Obviously they're very ecosystem oriented, but one of the biggest downfalls with their access points, if you don't want to use them in their ecosystem, is you have to set up a controller for them. So this is basically a quick little server that gets set up on your desktop or your server, whatever, and that's what allows you to do your initial configuration for your access point. After you get past that, you can use your iOS device or your Android device to actually do any little configuration changes, do firmware updates and all that stuff. But for now, we need to go ahead and get that set up on the computer. So let's go ahead and jump over to that. So now we're here on the computer itself. So I navigated to Ubiquiti's downloads page. I'll put this link down in the video description. And we're going to go ahead and browse over to the uap-ac-pro. Make sure we got the right access point selected. There's going to be firmware updates here. We'll go ahead and do that on the device itself, not using a download here. And then we're going to go ahead and get this Unifi 5.411 controller for Windows. So go ahead and download that. I already downloaded it. So we're going to go ahead and install that. So let's go through the quick installation procedures. So what's happening here is this is basically going to be a controller for access points. The idea is that you're usually going to have more than one, so you need one controller to roll out, configuration changes to everything. But in our case, we only have one access point, so this can be a little bit cumbersome for more of a consumer-oriented use case. So as you can see here, we're initializing the unified controller. So this is basically going to set up the little server I was talking about. You're going to go ahead and want it to allow it to have access real quick so it can actually scan the network for your access point. You can remove that from your Windows firewall later. I would recommend it. So they browse you to an HTTPS site. It's not going to have a signed certificate, so you're probably going to have to add a confirm a security exception here. And we got a bunch of little setup here to go through now. So we're Eastern time zone. I turned off the backup. So it detected our device here right off the bat. So it's already got an IP address assigned from the pfSense box. It's been up for 3 minutes now. And we're going to go ahead and hit next. So we're going to make an SSID. We're going to call ours Hackerville because that's what it was before. And then we're going to set up a quick little password. Click next. So this is going to be basically the controller access. So we're going to call it AFK. And it looks like they want us to use some sort of passphrase here. So I want Wi-Fi. I will be changing this later, so don't be thinking that you have an upper arm here. So this is going to be basically to allow cloud access. So if you want to be able to access it through Ubiquiti's website, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to be on their website with an account. So we got everything set up here. It's quick confirmation, and now we're going to go ahead and log in. So here is the basic interface for this device. So this is actually pretty much a unified controller. So this would be showing everything if you had multiple devices, Ubiquiti routers, and all that fun stuff. So we're just going to go ahead and browse over to statistics. So we have Hackerville here. So we have one client right now, which is my printer, automatically connected. So this is a pretty cool feature. If you have a way to upload a blueprint layout of your building, if you have a business or something, you can mark where your access points are, and that will allow you to actually kind of map out, give you an idea of what kind of coverage you have in your building right now. So we could map this, say here, and this will show you what kind of coverage you would be having. So we'll go to the devices. So we're going to click on this device, and on the right here we can do a little bit more configuration. So we got users right now, guests, and then configuration. So LED use site settings. So if we want to turn the LED off on it, no blue ring, we can turn that off. We can make an alias for it so we can remember it. So we can call it living room AP. Save that for now. And then let's see here. We got Uplink. So this is just detailed overview showing some statistics, what kind of RF environment we have right now. So we can go ahead and scan this. We're not right now because it takes a while. Got some radio settings so we can change what kind of where we want the channel width to be, what channel we're on, transmit power, all that fun stuff. So we got a little bit of WLANs here. So this is allowing me to actually change some of the things specific to each AP. So if you want to have your 5 gigahertz on different VLAN from your 2.4, you can do that and set up different networks essentially. So we have used DHCP. I'm actually going to assign this a static IP because I want the access point to be easily navigable to, or at least not taking up any of my DHCP leases. So keep the DNS the same. We can just direct that back to the pfSense box itself. Subnet mask 255. All right, and then the gateway is the pfSense address, which is just all that fun stuff. So we'll apply those changes. So then we can do manual updates here and all that fun stuff. So it's pretty straightforward to get set up. Once you have it provisioned, you're pretty much good to go. You can uninstall this program from your computer because you're not really going to be using this unless you are using a lot of other Ubiquiti devices. But you can use it if you want. But I just set it up and I forget it. So make sure you got good security, and then it's all set. So it's got all these settings set in there. It's going to connect to your network, no problem, and you're not going to notice any issues. So now the question is, are we getting good speed? So I'm going to go ahead and grab the camera again, and we're going to take a look at what kind of speed I'm getting on my phone. Before I was getting 10 megabit by 10 megabit. So we're going to let this do auto configuration everything, figure out what the RF environment's like, and see how fast it is. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do a quick speed test on the 2.4 band. This isn't really, super scientific because I am just using an iPhone 6s. but this doesn't give me the ability to connect to both bands and test out what kind of reading we're getting now. So our base ping on LAN is 11 milliseconds, so we're getting about 37 here, and then looks like we're getting a little bit faster. The key to this is it's a lot more consistent, so it's a very consistent speed versus before it was jumping all over the place. So the download looks like it's going to come in just around 20, and upload should be about the same. Now as you can see, the upload boosts pretty high there. That's just the ISP, but also it hangs out around 19. That's our official connection speed. So obviously the download side of things is having a little bit more interference and is struggling a little bit more to get through the other Wi-Fi networks around here as well as the walls. So we'll go ahead and run the 5G test real quick. So we'll go ahead and switch networks. So from that, we'll go ahead and move over to the 5G right here. And so we'll let that connect real quick. So now that that's connected, let's go ahead and run another test. All right. So the ping for the 5G looks like it's going to be 28 milliseconds, so a little bit better, and you can see that 5G speed killing it right there. So we have about a 100 meg connection here, and you know where the routers, there are the access points at, so it's fighting through a lot of walls. We're getting pretty much full speed on upload, and then download's about 80%, so we're getting a really good connection via the 5G, which has a lot less interference here because there's a lot of 2G networks. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you liked the quick little tutorial and review of the AC-pro. If you guys have any questions, be sure to leave a comment down in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Give it a down vote. If you didn't like it, comment down below why not. Try to check out my website if you guys get a chance. Leave me some feedback, as well as using my Amazon link down in the video description to purchase things on Amazon. That helps me out a ton. Thanks, guys.